in this auspicious ceremony, marking the 2023 World Teachers Day. As we all recall, this is my first outing, having been elected to steer the ship of this great union on the 29th day of August 2023, barely 37 days in office. Permit me to use this rare opportunity to thank Mr. Governor, Professor Charles Soludo, CFR, a renowned teacher, for being present in our last conference. Your presence and speech was a tonic that lubricated the business of the day, election of officers without any rank. That singular action of Mr. Governor and his speech has today given NUC Anambra State Wing a place of honor among the 9 states of East Regional Working Committee of NUT. Equally of note was the orderly conduct of our teachers throughout the business of electing officers to run the affairs of the union for the next 4 years. It was tasking and a big sacrifice by our members that ended very late in the night. This administration will never take your sacrifices for granted. I therefore thank you all for reposing this high level of confidence on my team. Let me once again reiterate that there was no loser in that contest. We all are winners, as our collective dreams was to reposition our great union for optimal service delivery. Both the Anambra State government and our teachers have played their expected roles, leaving my team to do the rest. Once again, we promise not to disappoint you. My distinguished comrades and invitees, we are gathered today to celebrate our annual World Teachers Day. This celebration commemorates the 1966 recommendations of UNESCO and ILO on the status of the teacher. According to the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, the World Teachers Day aims at appreciating, assessing and improving the educators of the world, and to provide an opportunity to consider issues related to teachers and teaching. Every year, UNESCO and Education International mounts a campaign to help give the world a better understanding of teachers and the roles that they play in the development of learners and the society. Both organizations advocate that everyone can help by celebrating the profession, generate awareness about teachers' issues, and accord teachers respect regardless of where the society places them. Today in Anambra State, the narrative is being rewritten as the governor of the state has taken it upon himself to place education and the educators at their rightful position. As it is customary, this year's celebration has its theme as the teachers we need for the education we want, the global imperative to reverse teachers' shortage. The theme is quite apt and points to dynamism in education as society demands. The state, to state it in clear terms, the demands of the society is attained through education. These demands can only be attained with focused school system with the right caliber of teachers at any given time. This is in tandem with the slogans of the union, which says, the working condition of the teacher is the learning condition of the child. And more explicitly presented in ANCOS is the slogan, leaders that build leaders. I don't need to illustrate more here as an erudite scholar in the person of Dr. Mrs. Gloria Nneka Ono of Anambra Azikiwe University, Oka, has been appointed to do justice to the topic. There are still some areas that are yearning for attention. Security in our schools, as observance of sit at home on Mondays has ended. Inadequate number of teachers in our public school system. Despite your efforts in recruiting 5,000 teachers recently, you have promised to recruit another 2,000 teachers to solve these problems. You are second to none. Non-implementation of the new retirement service age for teachers, which the governor had made efforts to make pronouncements, they couldn't because of the activities of some uniform teachers. The union requests Mr. Governor to approve it. Any teacher who does not want it can retire on attaining 35 years of service or 60 years of age. Elevation of teachers' promotion ceiling to salary grade level 17, as is the case in many states in Nigeria and the unified local government services. Lastly, Mr. Governor, your teachers request assistance in transportation. The two vehicles being used by the two principal officers of the union can better be described as fricative vehicles, unfit for the union's long-distance travels. Any assistance in this direction will be highly appreciated. In a bid to give our public school system an image, the union suggests teachers who are specialists in English studies, Igbo, basic science, and mathematics should be employed in primary schools to teach only the subject at the primary school level. This will lay a solid foundation for the study of these subjects. A pledge of loyalty to the government. On our part as teachers, the struggles must continue because as the engine room around which the educational objectives revolve, we are committed to advancing the profession. The truth still remains that no education system can rise above the quality of its teachers, as encapsulated the nation's national policy on education. I therefore call on all teachers at all strata of learning to rededicate themselves to duty in order to attain the expected height. Let me equally assure the government and the people of Anambra State that my administration will focus on making our public school system a model in Nigeria. I therefore call for your support and prayers always. Long live Education International. Long live Federal Republic of Nigeria. Long live Anambra State Government. Long live Nigeria Union of Teachers.
So when I say teachers are the greatest, they are indeed the greatest. You just stop at saying teachers are great. Teachers are not just great, they are the greatest. Nobody who is anybody in the world is not a product of the hard work, diligence, commitment of teachers. That is it. The hand that cradles the child, that rules the world. What? Come on, I'm not going to say alone. If my body is in hand. And we will never celebrate teachers enough. We will never celebrate teachers enough. Today, we're talking about our education system. I saw the purpose of declaring World Teachers Day. Part of it is that it's a day not just to, celebrate our teachers, but also it's a day for reflection. How are we doing? That's the day we look ourselves in the mirror and ask what kind of education are we providing for the next generation. I've always said that if you want to predict the future of a society, you look at the quality of teachers and the quality of teaching. Quality of teachers and quality of teaching. Because you might have a highly qualified, highly qualitative teacher, but who doesn't go to school? But who doesn't teach? Even when he's in school, he doesn't teach. So, it's not just being qualitative, that is one, and then also teaching. And I want to believe that these two are the components in our reflection where we'll be paying attention to. I understand you have a lecturer who will be speaking to you on this matter today about continuous learning, continuous upgrading of our skills. Because the world in which we live is changing. Even the world of education is also doing what? Changing. The textbooks you have, before you finish one, is obsolete. And so as you reflect, we're going to have a system where the teachers continuously refine, continuous learning. It's a lifetime learning process. Is it? That is it. That's why teachers, when you say you are the greatest, when you say this person is a teacher, it means the immediate impression the person must have about this teacher is that this is a person who is also continuously learning. Because you couldn't be a teacher if you are not learning. You'll be obsolete very quickly.
Yes.
Yeah, you grow obsolete very quickly. So, teachers must be teachers. And in Anambra, our goal is that our teachers must continuously be on the cutting edge, and our teachers must be the best in order to give the best. As we celebrate the World Teachers Day, now in Abuja at Ego Square, the Commissioner for Education is there, together with some of our principals. I understand out of 5 prizes available, buses, presidential prizes, 2 are coming home to us. The winners happen to be a principal of a public school, and second, a principal of a private school.
Wow.
Now, we have Anambra on the move. Anambra is on the move. And as we finish now, as I leave, the next event, I'm sure they already get consent. We'll be saying the missionaries, the leaders of the missions, the church leaders. Because you know we have got 4 categories of schools at the primary and secondary. We have the private, strictly private. We have the mission private, the ones that the mission built after the takeover of schools, that they run on their own and so on. There is the mission public, the ones that were handed back over to them, and we still employ, send them most of the teachers to those schools, and occasionally give them some grants, as it were, to add to whatever they have to run their schools. This afternoon, we return schools to the Salvation Army, we return schools to the Anglican Church, and we return schools to the Catholic Church. The 3 of them, the leaders of these 3 denominations, from here I'm going over to see them, and we'll be handing them over some handsome checks to take care of their own. Brothers in the Pentecostal family have been protesting over the years. Even though you will say technically they don't qualify, in the sense that there were no schools that were returned to them. There were no schools that were returned to them. But we have verified that there are about 20 schools that they have that are owned by the church. But in the spirit of inclusiveness and ecumenism, we're going to also give them some little bit to also put in their own schools. And we are working. Now, let me tell you this. Why we get that, let them take care. Their incursion of the mission into schools is their own volition. Okay? So we are trying to assist them in whatever way that we can, subject to our own budget constraints. But we have decided as a people, as a state, to prioritize the public schools. Public education. And you know, it's a very simple one. The duty of every government is, part of its duties is to provide qualitative education. And that provision means government builds schools and runs schools everywhere in the world. But what has happened is that because of the history of what happened At some time when public schools were on holiday, were shut down for a year. Since then, there has been no conscious effort to rebuild public schools. The missions, literally, children ran to mission schools and to private schools and so on. And our public schools were then left as the weakest link, where literally the children of the poorest of the poor in most rural places and so on and so forth were abandoned with no infrastructure, literally no teachers, no facilities and so on and so forth. But now we have decided to intentionally get back to the public education. Yes, we have to. It's about providing, leveling up, and providing equal opportunity. Education is the opportunity equalizer. It's the only ladder that equalizes opportunity between the rich and the poor. In our own days, many of you here grew up in an era where you have all these private schools, and I had my own primary school. Then there was nothing like private school. Even the secondary school, there was literally nothing like private school. And the children of the poor and the children of the rich attended the same schools, taught by the same teachers. And over the next generation, you could see the children of the poor even overtaking the children of the rich. But not anymore. We are building now a society made of two classes of citizens, where the children of the rich and the upper were in the elite private schools, and the children of the poor, the poorest of the poor, were abandoned and forgotten in derelict, poorly funded, poorly resourced public schools. We want to get to a point back where public schools will become the model and other ones will look up to them. With the funds that will be disbursing through ASUBEB, we put out quite some resources through ASUBEB, and there will be matching grants to it. We'll be refurbishing quite a significant number of our public schools, primary schools, and then the state, where we'll be intentionally also putting money to refurbish several of our secondary schools. And let me share this with you. Our goal is to make these schools to become smart schools. What does it mean to be smart schools? It will be technology driven. Yes, we're going to rebuild the infrastructure. We're going to make Wi-Fi available. Many of them. Basic infrastructure first. Basic infrastructure. Several of them need fences to be rebuilt, but we're going to be working in partnership with the communities to get the places secured, get the basic chairs which the children will sit down. Some of them with no roof, at least fix them so that they don't get under the rain and so on. The basics, even whiteboards and so on, basics and so on. We want to address those basics. We are coming. But you can give them even with the best furnished, air-conditioned or whatever thing facility in the world. There will be no education without good teachers. You are the beginning and the end. Wow. Without teachers, there is no school. Wow. And that's why we've decided intentionally as well to make sure the first 5,000 teachers we recruited, we posted them to both public and public mission schools. Now the second batch that we are recruiting, 3,000 teachers, we are devoting them exclusively to our public schools. Okay? Let's say, you know, we are ending the era of PTA teachers in all our public schools. Yes, if you want to be a teacher, you go through the process you pass, you recruit you because you are the best. Not because no, na se papa ni eba, or whoever na ebe machifo. You heard that we announced free primary up to free basic education. That is up to JSS 3. And this time, you know, before they claimed you had free tuition. But it's not tuition that we're talking about. They had free tuition, but then you had 12.5 other levies. Yeah? Yeah, it's free, but get what they go exam, what they go PTA, what they go lesson, they go this one. Yeah, books, you buy your books. But we're intentionally, I'm just waiting for the Commissioner for Education because or some calculations we were doing the other day, and she's going to get back to me with that, with the schools that have facilities for library. And if they have libraries, we're going to intentionally buy, stock those libraries with the basic books, so the children learn again that you can go to the library and borrow a book. And we're very deliberate about it, we're very intentional about it, committed to it, and we will get it done. With you, with us working together as a NURSERY. I always say that teaching is not a job, it's a vocation. It's a calling. If you don't have the calling, look for another job. It is a calling. It's a vocation, not another job. I'm not man, you are in the wrong place. You are in the wrong place. Some of us chose it deliberately. People deliberately, I chose to go and use it. With our budget estimate that we should be collecting about 4 billion a month from IGR, internally generated revenue, we're now at about 2. So half. Which means by the end of the year, about 24 billion will be uncollected if we continue at this rate. Who knows one or two things about financial management? All the ones got Soludo or and that's what we're doing. Because we not only have to secure today, more importantly, we must guarantee the future. We must secure today and guarantee the future. So, we will come down to that. And I would dare say to you, my dear colleagues, Ndinkuzi two forces at work. You raised the issue about retirement age. But I will also, twice, this is the third time it's being raised here. And each time it has come, the response has been very mixed. But I will also tell you one key thing. That's a suggestion that you made in relation to particular subjects, specialization. English, math. By primary schools, so that we can have basic numeracy and literacy. Numeracy and literacy. Very smart suggestion. Very smart. And we are going to the answer, we must think rigorously about this. And the way that I because we are going through recruitment now, so that we actually have to have, specialist teachers, specialist English and math, maybe basic science, specialists who now, one teacher, also the other in the 4B, mana okay, for the teacher, you see, I had so it's not my area. So I think it's a very, very good suggestion, worthy of serious consideration. Because also, let me tell you, we're just talking about people to extend their tenure and all of those and so on and so forth. I know the issue, I know some of the issues that I have had, some of the pushbacks that people have given. Some of the pushbacks also relate to the fact, as I mentioned it here the last time when you guys were in Congress, that several people did not accuse. One I said, the girl in chamber, I don't know, the vice principal. One I will get to go and talk about move over head. That's the end of the part of the world. So, yes, and the young shall grow. Suggestion he makes clever. But I will take it back home. Because it's not what people are resisting. We be no blanket, no. Once in NORA, you automatically to 65. Now people are agitated. No one hundreds of thousands in on the low, everywhere all they check everywhere and all. Okay? There are thousands in all. I find with the all, but they create their vacancy, because I want to retire. I am with this 5,000 and 3,000. So now these are the two sides to it. But the point is that we will then have a system. I want you to reflect on this and we come up with a model. Only rare subject, you said English and math, for example, numeracy and literacy. We'll take that for example. When you're actually born a guru in the area and you want to stay beyond, then you apply. You go for a special interview for that. And if we also find the person fit and proper, I said the area, go now sort of a math teacher. I am putting a Ugo in the primary school. But just put your come on. I'm not going to put that. Mara nege kuto di pemba. Ema, asana amo baafo. Ana ala nasi godu. Kamu ada. So we set out to really make examples of anybody, anyone in any public institution that violates this new policy. Actually, the event was suspension, okay? When I saw the suspension thing, that wasn't what I was angling for. I said anybody that violates it, you sack the person. One year of suspension. Okay, for suspension. You know, believe that. Sack. You know, and I will tell you this. Listen. If I'm Anambra, and we must begin to show example. We must show that when we say this, we mean it. Because you must think about these other people. I'm thinking about these poor people. But thinking about these poor people. Some of these people are now with the 200 now, with the 300 now, with the Kanka. Their mothers will start Karakaba again. Some of them are middle school, the children are at home. 300 naira, 400 naira, 200 naira, this and that. They can't afford it. They can't. Because we just went there. You don't think about what this means for the future of these kids. I will be giving them also something to say, help you, however you want to deploy it. That's your business. If you want to use it in your running costs, if that is what it gets to you, good luck. You change one ball. Good luck. Good luck. But now the government schools will now the schools where government will now on its own go to, because that's the one that we own. The government schools are the ones owned by government. We are going to refurbish and make them like government schools. Now, pay attention, for the teachers who are working in the mission schools, will still pay your salary. And you will still get your promotions, you still get this and so on and so forth, your pension and gratuity. Okay? But for the government schools, we take care of our schools. We're going to upscale them, we're going to upgrade them, and make them to become the models. Okay? Now, the mission schools, before the Civil War, that's the way it operated. Before the Civil War, you had the mission schools, you had the but before the war, it was not government that was paying the teachers in the mission schools. But we are doing that, and that is part of our subsidy to missions. But we are not going to neglect the public schools anymore. We are not going to neglect them anymore. And so, it's important that you understand this. You understand this, the intentionality of it, and what we are trying to achieve. What we are trying to achieve is that the children of the poor must have access to qualitative education. It will not be because the public school is not working. If you decide that your child will go to a mission school, it will not be because you don't have an alternative. You will then know that I have got a public school, which is good. I've got mission school, which is good. We've got the private school, which is good. Which one do I? So you make a choice. It will be an informed choice.